Hi, welcome to our meditation. Today is the 26th of August. I have been meditating on the importance of being a disciple of Jesus Christ, who is a person who has been born from above. And to help me in these meditations, I've been reading in Philippians chapter 1, verses 8 to 11. I would like to read again verse 11. Filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ to the glory and the praise of God. Righteousness. It's a word that appears in the New Testament over 90 times. So it is an important word, especially for Paul. Paul uses it a lot, especially in the letter that he wrote to the Roman church. So let's see what the dictionary tells us about the meaning of this amazing word that is extremely important in the gospel. So, in a very broad sense, it's a state of him who is as he ought to be. It is a situation, a position of a person in God's economy. It's a place that that person should where that person should remain or should be. It is actually a condition that is acceptable to God. It's a condition in which we are, and God accepts that. That's something that is correct according to his way of thinking. It is the doctrine concerning the way in which a man may attain a state approved by God. So he's in a condition that it is acceptable to God because God has approved of that condition. It is integrity, it is virtue, purity of life. It is correctness of thinking, feeling, and acting. And that is going to help us a lot to understand the verses we are going to read, because righteousness is a way of thinking, feeling, and acting. So God think, feels, and act according to his own righteousness. And he wants us to do as well. So let's read 3 texts in Matthew where the word appears as well. The same word that Paul uses in Philippians chapter 1, verse 11. Jesus replied, "Let it be so now. It is proper for us to do this to fulfill all righteousness." Then John consented. If you know the Bible, Matthew chapter 3 talks about Jesus' baptism by John the Baptist. So when John saw Jesus coming to him to be baptized with other people, he probably thought, oh my goodness, what is he doing here? But Jesus tells him, it is in order to fulfill God's righteousness, this has to be done. There are things in our lives and things in your life that we sometimes don't understand. But if it is according to God's righteousness, we should go ahead. We should make the right decisions. We should do what God has telling us to do because it is according to his righteousness. But in order to know what is according to God's righteousness, we have to know who God really is. And that's the meaning of Paul's prayer in Philippians chapter 1, Ephesians chapter 1, and Colossians chapter 1. Matthew chapter 5, verse 6, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be fulfilled, or they'll be filled. People can be hungry for many things, for money, sex, power. That's all part of our history, isn't it? If you read the newspaper today, you'll find the similar sort of things happening in the world as when you read your newspaper 20 years ago. So the world hasn't changed at all because we haven't changed. Only Jesus is able to change us. So when we are hungry, when we are thirsty for God's righteousness, God is going to fill us with his righteousness. And he is going to fulfill our desire to be filled with his righteousness. Matthew chapter 5, verse 20, Jesus says, "For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven." You cannot enter the kingdom of heaven if your righteousness doesn't surpass that of the Pharisees. It's very interesting because Jesus is not saying that our righteousness should surpass that of the big sinners of his time, of a prostitute, of a thief, of a murderer. He's actually saying that it should surpass those of religious people. Because a religious righteousness is based on the effort of a person, on the work of a person. But God's righteousness depends entirely on Jesus' work. That's why Paul is saying, when he's praying for the Philippians, he's saying that it is a righteousness of Christ. It is his righteousness in us. And Paul also says in 1 Corinthians that Jesus has become God's righteousness for us. God bless you.